Hey there, Organigram traders and investors. It's Rod with Pow Group. Welcome back on The Pursuit of Wealth, your home for MJ stocks, crypto assets, news, and interviews. Also home to the best MJ community. Today is Monday, February 12th. Hope you're doing well, and I hope you had a great weekend. In this video, we're going to do an earnings prep video for Organigram Holdings. They do report first quarter 2024 earnings tomorrow morning, pre-market. And then they have a conference call as well, which will give you all the details here in just a moment. Before we get to it though, make sure to smash the like. It helps support me in the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. If you're new, you can subscribe, tick the bell, all that good stuff. You'll be notified on any future videos or when I go live. Also, you can give us a follow over on X, which is formerly Twitter. The handle for that is @GroupPow. Going to be using that as my platform of choice going forward. And as always, this is not financial advice. This is for entertainment and informational purposes only. And you should never ever buy or sell anything based on anything that I write or anything that I say. Also, full disclosure, I do hold Organigram. It is a massive holding in my portfolio. And if you haven't seen that video, I recently posted a 2024 update, my entire MJ portfolio with percentage breakdown. You can check that out. But we'll do an earnings prep. Curious to see what the community thinks. Do you think we're going to see a beat or a miss? I also, if you go over to the community tab on the YouTube channel, you can go vote over there as well. But essentially, I've got 16 votes here on X. I just posted it a few hours ago, like 3 hours ago. And I think there was close to 20 votes as well on YouTube. So if we factor that in, most people are thinking, I think on YouTube as well, it was close to 70% were thinking it was going to miss. So let me know in the comments below. Do you think Organigram is going to miss estimates or beat on their estimates? And we'll go over the consensus here on the estimates in just a moment from all of the analysts covering the stock. But right now, most people are thinking it's going to be a miss, myself included. I think they're going to miss earnings estimates with regards to EPS. I'm not expecting any kind of profitability or positive EPS this quarter. And as we know, Organigram is plagued by high excise taxes, right? I think a third of their revenue last quarter they said that was going to excise taxes, right? So until we get some improvements on the Canadian excise tax, I don't think there's going to be much to really be looking at in terms of profitability. But once we do get some improvements to that, that's going to be huge. And then it's not going to affect the LPs when we get rescheduling. But 280E is another thing. High taxation, just under 280E alone. Names like Cureleaf, Trueleaf have paid over $350 million worth of taxes just under that 280E tax code. So the excise tax here in Canada, I did a video not too long ago that the feds are on track for a spring release with regards to an update to the MJ Act here in Canada. So we could get some updates with regards to that here over the next few months as well, which coincides nicely with potential rescheduling, potential for safer banking, uplisting to the NYSE and the NASDAQ. We could see Florida confirmed to be on the ballot, which I think is pretty much a done deal. And then into the end of the year, Pennsylvania, what else? Germany coming online around April. So that April timeframe is going to be huge for the MJ sector. But we'll see. I think I am leaning a little bit bearish though, and we'll take a look at the chart and the technicals and what to expect in terms of that in the days, weeks, months ahead. But spoiler alert, I am a little bit bearish here leading into tomorrow's earnings, and with the S&P 500 likely due for weekly consolidation at some point, really any week now, it would just be healthy. Hitting that 500 mark on SPY, 500 psychological, I would say that we're more than likely due sooner than later for weekly consolidation, a healthy pullback on the broader market, which is only going to be headwinds for the MJ space, including Organigram. And after the run that Organigram has been having, it wouldn't be surprising to see it pull back and see a healthy correction based on the rest of the sector as well. We're seeing tons of weekly consolidation out there, and even in the US names, which we know have been, relatively stronger. But we'll look at that here in a moment, and I'll give my thoughts and opinions on the price action. Organigram to report first quarter fiscal 2024 results on February 13th, 2024, so tomorrow, and it will be for the period ending December 31st, 2023, and it'll be Tuesday, February 13th, prior to market open, as I mentioned. The company will also host a conference call to discuss its results with details as follows. So it's going to be tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. I probably won't be joining that tomorrow. As you know, I recently welcomed my daughter into the world, my partner and I. She's the sweetest thing, but a lot of sleepless nights. So I probably won't be up at 6 a.m. Mountain Time in order to catch that. But I'll try my best to join online eventually and watch the replay. But if anybody does join that call, let me know your biggest takeaway. But we'll see. Who knows? Maybe the baby will be hungry at like 5 o'clock in the morning, and after if I can't get back to sleep, I'll probably join. But as of right now, like I said, wouldn't change it for the world. She's so sweet, and yeah, it's just an absolute miracle, and she's our bundle of joy. So we'll take a look at the chart. So if we take a look at the earnings estimates, we'll look at the chart here, but I wanted to bring up the estimate here on TradingView. This is atrocious. Like, do not use TradingView for your accurate dates or anything like that. I see people online on YouTube, like influencers, all the time using TradingView. It's probably the least reliable and worst place to get your earnings estimates and dates and things like that. But if you go to OGI on the TSX, Toronto Stock Exchange, you can see here that they are estimating, well, it says Tuesday, February 13th, but it's coming in, it shows reported and estimate as the same. So actually a slight discrepancy there with regards to the revenue, but essentially they're estimating 37.774 million Canadian for revenue and negative 0.118 for earnings per share, EPS. And then again, I've been saying this for a while now on my earnings prep videos. This is an exercise that I like to go through leading into the earnings, because we got so many, like especially on these bigger names like Organigram, your Tilrays, your Green Thumbs, your True Leaves, all of those big tier ones, they get a lot of coverage. So, they usually have anywhere from a half a dozen to a dozen analysts covering them, right? So I really like investing.com, although their dates usually tend to be wrong now. I've noticed it says February 9th, which we've already passed. So it should be, say, February 13th, but they're estimating 46.9 million in terms of revenue, and that's Canadian, and negative 1.06 for earnings per share, EPS. So big miss they're anticipating there. And last quarter they came in at negative 0.11, and then before that negative 0.68. So they had to miss the prior quarter before the last one, but they did beat in terms of analyst estimates last quarter. And then I really like going to Moomoo as well. If we bring up Organigram here, go over to the financial tab, click on revenue financial estimates. You can see here they're forecasting, based on 8 analysts, 37.821 million. And then in terms of EPS, they're forecasting negative 0.09. So what I like to do is I go through all of those, add them up on a calculator, divide them by 3. So it says here that we're forecasting 40.83 million. So just over 40 million in terms of revenue. And then if we do the same for the earnings per share, add them all up, divide by 3, it's forecasting negative 0.42 for EPS. So we'll see if that comes in line. Like I said, usually when I add those up, I think it was for Tilray, it was like bang on. It was the exact number that we were expecting. So it's been a great exercise, and that's something that you guys and gals can use for your reference and in your preparation as well. But we'll go through some of the chart and the technical analysis here and what to expect in the days, weeks ahead. I would be cautious because a lot of our names have been getting to the monthly EMA 12, getting above it, and that usually marks the top of the monthly bounce. If we just take a look at some other names for some comparisons, and we'll take a look at like Tilray and High Tide, some of the leaders in the space, you can see here that Tilray had its monthly bounce and it topped out just above monthly EMA 12, and then it's coming down looking for a monthly higher low. And then if we can get a higher high, that would confirm a monthly uptrend. Whereas a name like OGI I mentioned was probably going to be a massive laggard because we're just starting the monthly bounce here, right? We haven't even got the higher low yet, which means Tilray is much further ahead, right? This is basically OGI now. We had the low, the high of the bounce. Now we're looking for a higher low. We're even starting the monthly bounce again, looking for the higher high. So Tilray was a leader in the space and OGI was a massive laggard. And you can see here we had 2 monthly inside bars. Once we broke the resistance there at 145 USD on the NASDAQ, that was a 2 multiple inside bars on the monthly time frame, breaking bullish. Even if you just entered long there, you would have saw upside of roughly 60%. Right, and then we started the monthly bounce. We were still in a monthly downtrend here, and we were lagging the sector. And I assumed that we were more than likely going to follow suit with the rest of the sector because we also had that British American tobacco investment of 124 million with a deal price of what, $3.22 Canadian. So if we bring up the TSX on this monthly bounce, we only hit 312. So we got very close to that deal price. That gave me more confidence that we were probably going to see it act as a laggard, and that deal price of 322 was just added confidence, and then confluence that we could see it act as a laggard, right? The more data that we have that are pointing to this most likely scenario, the more that we are confident of that playing out, right? And then we broke that monthly inside bar, multiple inside bars bullish. Then we started to trend back to monthly EMA 12. Last month we hit it perfect to perfection there, and then we started to pull back, and then this month we got above it. So again, a name like Tilray, it got above its monthly EMA 12 and then started to pull back. SNDL got above it, started to pull back. We take a look at High Tide. Got above it. Actually, High Tide got close to its monthly EMA 26 and then started to pull back, right? So again, we were expecting OGI to do something similar. VFF got very close to its monthly EMA 12 and then pulled back. So again, something similar here on OGI. We're getting above its monthly EMA 12. We could potentially see that pullback. And like I said, with the S&P 500 likely due for a weekly consolidation any week now, which is just be healthy. Nothing goes in a straight line forever. And then that adds more confluence to the fact that we could see OGI as well, because we're seeing weekly consolidation across the sector. Tilray for the last 2 weeks has been consolidating, losing the low of the previous weekly candle. SNDL, weekly consolidation, losing the low. So same thing, right? High Tide, weekly consolidation, losing the low. And then if we bring up a name like AYRWF, I mentioned this in, I think it was last Friday's market update, that AYR was showing cracks in its armor. And after being one of the lead technical bulls, it had a huge bearish reversal candle here 3 weeks ago. 2 weeks before this weekly candle. And then last week it started weekly consolidation, and again this week in a big way. So that was a clue right last week that we could see that happen, and then it was just a matter of following the rest of the space. Then you look at Curaleaf, for example. Actually, that's the wrong chart here. Let me sort that. So Cura, weekly consolidation this week. CL, weekly consolidation this week, losing the low of last week. Same thing with Trulieve, and then same thing with the ETF MSOS, starting weekly consolidation. We could, once we lost the low there at 955 on MSOS, we could have pulled back 37%-ish and still be in a weekly uptrend, right? So it was very due, in my opinion, and it's basically a cup and handle at the moment. But that increased the odds that names like OGI and names that haven't seen weekly consolidation start yet, I don't think it's going to happen on OGI this week, because we'd have to lose the low of last week at 169. So what I think the most likely scenario is, if we do see a bearish earnings reaction, which I think is the most likely scenario into tomorrow, then we probably just tighten up and see this inside bar expand. So I wouldn't expect us to lose last week. Anything's possible. I just don't see that happening. If it did, it would be, it would have to be absolute terrible earnings, right? Coupled with like S&P 500 weakness and sector weakness, or any kind of sector bearish catalyst news. But I would expect just continue to tighten up in this weekly inside bar. Maybe we come down 180, slight flush of $2 USD, and then into next week we see weekly consolidation. But we're still in a weekly uptrend as long as 155 holds. So that's key support right now. And we also had our weekly EMA 12 and 26 bull cross, and we're gearing up. Yeah, we actually had the golden cross with the 50-day below the 200-day moving average and crossing. So that's something that I've been looking at for a while now, was weekly EMA 12 and 26 bull cross to occur, then the golden cross, and then monthly uptrends. So we've already seen the weekly EMA 12 and 26 bull cross and the golden cross. So the likelihood that we top out very soon is very high probabilities, in my opinion, because we still need to confirm the monthly uptrend. We've got the two criteria that I'm looking at, 3 major criteria, and that is weekly EMA 12 and 26 bull crosses, golden crosses on the daily time frame with the 50 crossing the 200, and then monthly uptrends. If we can get all 3 of those criteria met, then I think the bottom is in for most of these names. And then the more names that do so in Canada, US, retailers, producers, ETFs, the better and more confident we are. But again, getting above that monthly EMA 12, and then something I wanted to point out as well is off the low, we're now up about 140% off the low. CGC, well, not the greatest name, but off of its low to the high there on the monthly bounce was up 400%, but that's because it was beaten down the most. ACB was another name that ripped, went up almost 200%. But if we take the average off of the lows here and off their low to the monthly bounce, Cron up about 66%, High Tide off of its low to its monthly bounce about 130%. If we go to SNDL off of its low to the high there, about 90%. Tilray off of its low to the high, up about 130%. VFF from the low to the high there, another 130. So it's somewhere around that 100 to 130% area. And again, monthly EMA 12 is usually an area to target for that monthly bounce to top out. And then sure enough, off of the low there, we're up about that average of 100 to 130%. So now's the time to start being cautious, in my opinion, on OGI. But if you're looking for entries, you could wait for a weekly consolidation, a weekly higher low, a monthly higher low. As we know, we need that monthly higher low and monthly trend change to be confident that the bottom is in. So maybe you want to enter on a monthly higher low. Oh, look at that, I already had it drawn out. So maybe you want to wait and be patient and add on the monthly higher low. How do you know it's a higher low? Once we lose the low of the previous monthly candle, then we start to consolidate, and then anything above the low there at 97 cents would just be a higher low. So you could look to add there on monthly consolidation. If you're really patient, you can wait for a monthly uptrend to confirm, but then you'd have to wait for a higher low to form and then a higher high, which means you'd be entering above 232, right? So you'd have to be, but still super low compared to the all-time high at $33, right? So it just depends on how conservative or how aggressive you are. And like I said, it's probably due for a top out soon, I would think. And like I said, I think that would result in a miss and a bearish reaction on their earnings. But something we're looking at potentially seeing here as well is a stochastic bear cross. We're very close to seeing that cross bearish, but hasn't happened yet. So we're still in bull territory, but it looks like momentum could be shifting here And a lot of their names topped out right between their 50 and 100 weekly moving average, and that's exactly where we are right now. If you take a look at a name like Tilray, it got, again, right in between there. It started to top out. SNDL, same thing, right in between. So if OGI were to top out, it's right in between. So a lot of confluence pointing to the fact that we could potentially be seeing a top being set here on this monthly bounce. But curious to see what everybody thinks in the comment section below. Let me know. Do you think they're going to beat? Do you think they're going to miss on the earnings estimates? But going to end it there, it's Rod with Pow Group. Thanks again for joining us in the pursuit of wealth. If this video was helpful, make sure to smash the like, share it with your network. I would appreciate it. I love each and every one of you who supported me along the way. Excited for the rest of the year. And yeah, good luck to OGI into tomorrow. But like I said, I am leaning a little bit bearish. But we'll continue the conversation in the comment section below, and we'll see you on the next video.